I keep watching like some of these red pill channels. It's funny because I'll watch like one red pill channel and just out of curiosity and see what they talk about. And YouTube, I feel like it's not the type of content that YouTube likes to have on its platform, but YouTube will still push the fuck out of it to my feed more than I want it to. Like I'll try to get rid of it, and I'll try to hide it, and YouTube just pushes it back in mass, and it's insane. And yeah, I wanted to bring it up because some of the red pill content I see and some of these like dating coaches on both sides are wacky to me. And I'm not saying that I'm like the best at dating. I'm not saying that I'm like a social god or anything like that. But my view on dating and relationships to me is a bit more nuanced. And I think some of the beliefs I have, most people, I don't really hear too many people say. Like, I'll sit there and I'll kind of see even like a couple and I'll see the way they interact. And I kind of think to myself, well, like in a year or two, this is not going to work out. And lo and behold, it works out the exact way I predicted it would. So I'm trying to think of exactly where to take this because I'm kind of just pulling up my camera and kind of getting into it. I want to talk about just dating in general, just some of the things that keeps happening with people I know, people I see, things I see online. And I think the first thing I want to say is this. When you get into a relationship, my personal belief is that your relationship, whether you're a guy watching this or a woman watching this, your relationship should always just be a compliment to your own life. Truly, it should be a compliment to your life. You should not be seeking a relationship to fill any gaps. You should come into the relationship with all of your gaps filled, or at least the essential gaps filled. For example, I've met and I've heard from so many dudes that think, and I've been guilty of this myself, that's why I'm kind of bringing this up, where they see a girl or they don't have a girlfriend, they see other people around them with partners, you know, maybe they've been the third wheel a ton of times. I've been in that boat. Maybe they've been the fifth wheel or even the seventh wheel plenty of times. I've been in that boat as well. And they think to themselves, if only I can get a girlfriend, life will be so much better. If I had a girlfriend, I'd be so much happier. I'd be so much more fulfilled. I'd check off all these boxes. And the reality is that this is not the case at all. I think if you're a dude or a girl, but in this case, let's talk about guys. And I think if you have a mindset that a girl will complete your life, you're doomed to fail with women forever. That is just my belief. And I think the reality is that when you have that mindset, you're always trying to take from the girl. You're trying to use her as a form of validation to a degree. You're trying to validate your own emotions and your own existence through her. If she doesn't perform a certain way, if she doesn't do A, B, and C, you feel upset. And I think what most guys do, instead of them just identifying that they're upset because they're not emotionally full, their cup's not full, try to take it out on the girl. And they become mean, or, you know, they try to find something about the girl to pick at her about, or they become just negative. I've seen so many dudes who are just negative towards women, and not like in a funny way, like negative in like, and someone's probably like, what's negative in a funny way? When I say negative in a funny way, I'm saying like you make a joke or you're a little bit edgy, maybe at the girl's expense, but you kind of pull back and you let her know that you're just messing around with her. That's the good way, because I think that's kind of like flirty, and I think that's a better interaction, because she understands that you don't mean the negative things that you might be saying. You're just being funny, and you're being blatantly upfront about the fact that it's a joke and that you're trying to be funny. I think that's a healthier way to go about being negative. I'm not talking about that. I've seen tons of dudes who are just negative. They just call girls fat. They make fun of them. They don't pull back. They don't ever say like, I'm joking. They just keep it going. And to me, that's the worst thing to do. And I think deep down, a lot of dudes do that because there's an insecurity about women that they're trying to fill. They're trying to fix, so to speak. Maybe they're trying to obtain women, and instead of them just identifying that they're just shit with women and learning how to be better with women, they had interactions with women, and the interactions go south, or they fail, or the girl gets mad, or whatever, and they're not taking accountability, and they take it out on the girl, and they say, oh, women aren't shit, or women are this. And it's like, oh, that's not really true. You just aren't putting in the work. And even though other people might be saying that you should put in the work, or even though your experiences when you failing consistently should be kind of telling you to put in the work and learn something new or try something new, you just aren't doing it. By the way, if you're hearing like little drops, I'm in my car right now because I was recording videos outside and it started raining, and now the rain's coming down harder. So if you hear anything, that's what that is. Ignore it. But yeah, back to what I was talking about. They're not doing the work. And so their interactions with women aren't great. And ultimately it's because their cup's not full. So that's an example, I think, with guys, what they do. Now with women, I see something very similar, but with women, the interactions I think are a bit different, because fundamentally, I think men and women they tackle relationships a bit different. I think men are active participants in a relationship. I think women are passive participants in a relationship. And what I mean by this, and everything in a relationship is to and retain women. You are the one putting in a ton of effort. If you see a girl, you're the one that needs to actively approach her in general. If you have a girlfriend, you're the one that actively needs to set dates in general. You're the one that actively needs to be entertaining or provide fun or excitement in the relationship. You're the one that needs to be making the high quality decisions. You're the one that kind of gets the last say. All of the active burden of being in a relationship is on you as a guy. Women, on the other hand, are a bit more passive. They are simply just wandering the earth in hopes that a good guy pops up in front of them, almost like a Pokemon. Wild Pikachu appeared from the grass. This wild boyfriend just appeared from the grass. That's kind of how girls go through relationships. And I think that's how dating sort of works for women. It's more passive. They're sort of bystanders. They're sort of waiting for things to happen to them, which both cases are good and bad, but they both have downsides. I think for women, the downside is that they lack a lot of control and they're kind of at the mercy of just whatever the world provides them in general. I think for men, the downside is that you have to put in a lot of effort on the front end to be worthy to most women that you're probably attracted to. So that's sort of the downside. But kind of getting back to women when it comes to how I think they kind of fail to tackle relationships. I think for a lot of women, what they tend to not do well, they don't adequately screen men. I think for a lot of women, at least in my experience, they rely on emotions and how they feel about a potential partner to create attraction. And I think in general, that's not too bad of a thing, but I think in the grand scheme of, especially modern relationships, I think that's a horrible way to approach things. I'll give you an example. I had a friend years ago. I'm no longer friends with her just because her mindset was very poor, and it kind of, I don't like being around people with a certain negative mindset or people who I think make bad decisions, because I think it becomes infectious. And I think if you're around people that make bad decisions, you ultimately start making bad decisions along with them. Or if you're the kind of person that keeps trying to protect them or save them or help them out too much, you sacrifice your own mental well-being at the cost of what I think might be just a fruitless, pointless task. You're trying to help them, and you know, and deep down they don't want to be helped, so you're wasting your time. It's kind of the basic way of putting this. Anyway, there was this girl I was friends with a while back. Now, she would text me and say how bad of a boyfriend she had and how shitty he was, and yet she'd stay with him, which is already a problem on her part. Again, passive. She's not actively trying to break up the relationship. She's relying on passive hints, or she's hoping that one day things will just get better. She's being a bystander of the relationship rather than an active participant. And as a side note, I know I'm all over the place, but I just kind of want to give my thoughts on this topic, and this is how I think. I'm all over the place, so stick with me on this. As a side note, I tend to find that for a lot of women, they don't really actively break up relationships until they've reached an extreme point in the relationship where I think breaking up is probably the most, their only option. I'll give an example. I'll give another quick example, and I'll get back to the other story. I've seen girls who want to break up with their boyfriend, and they've known for a while they want to break up with their boyfriend. And instead of just breaking up with their boyfriend, or at least addressing maybe things that might be wrong in the relationship, because that's an active thing to do and girls aren't active in their relationships, what they will usually do is they'll try to start fights more frequently. Or they'll try to bring up other men around the guy and test him and see how he reacts and stuff. And then ultimately, her mindset is, if I can piss him off, and this is subconscious, I think, but the mindset subconsciously is, if I piss him off enough, or if I bring up these things enough, he'll break up with me. And that's how she gets out of the relationship. And meanwhile, she probably has another guy on the side that she's been talking to, or she's prepared to leave the relationship without too much emotional damage. But she wants the guy to do it first. She wants him to be the active one to break it off. Does that make sense? So, going back to my friend, She's in this relationship, texting me, and that could have been something in itself. Maybe she was trying to have me as the backup guy, and I don't know. But she's texting me, telling me about her problems with her boyfriend, and she tells me the story about how she met her boyfriend. And she says that she met him twice. The very first time she met him, she thought he was attractive. They kind of talked for a little bit, and they parted ways. And then the second time, according to her, they were at the same bar at the exact same time, and she saw him the exact same way across the bar. Almost like the way she described it, it felt like a Disney fairy tale. Like, oh, we were just in this random spot, and we locked eyes across this bar venue, and you know what? Our eyes were drawn to each other, and it was love at first sight, which is all bullshit, by the way. Just that idea of love at first sight and all that, it's garbage. But she didn't really screen him. She relied on her emotions to determine that he was a good partner, and her emotions were based pretty much just on the setting. It was just coincidence, which it wasn't even a good coincidence, to be honest, because the town that we all lived in, it's so small. Like, there's not many bars to even go to. So if there's 4 bars in a town to go to, chances are if 20-year-olds want to go to a bar, they're all going to go to the exact same 4 bars. So chances are you're going to meet the same people over and over again, which you do in these 4 bars. You do see the exact same people every single weekend because there's nowhere else to go. Unless you go out of the city, but a lot of people just won't go out of the city. They'll just go to the same bars. That's a side note. So my opinion is that what she should have done is she should have screened him and men in general a lot better, because this girl has had a string of bad relationships, and in every single situation she doesn't screen men correctly. Now, at one point she's telling me and some friends just how bad of a partner he is, how she wants to break up, she's trying to get like out of it, but of course she won't actually do it. And I said to her, I was like, look, for the past few years I've known you, you have not had a good consistent relationship. Every relationship you've been in, you've been unhappy. So instead of just breaking up with this guy and hoping that the next guy will be better, you need to fill your own cup. This is going back to the earlier point about filling your own cup, but this is the way I think girls should do it. I told her, for a full year, don't sleep with any men. Don't sleep with any men. Don't flirt with any men. Don't hope for any other men to come into your life. Do not make your life revolve around men at all. And even if men do come into your life, reject them. You need to do that. That's the hard thing for, I think, a lot of women to do. For a lot of men, I think the hard thing is sort of putting the work to be attractive to women. I think for women, the hard thing is, since they're already attractive, or a lot of them are already attractive, rejecting men that might seem like a good candidate or a good fit, and delaying that. And I'm not saying delay it forever, because I think that's problematic too. But what I am saying is do the work for yourself. Take a year, work on your mindset, go to the gym. Just build up a good social circle of close quality friends. Get into a position where you don't need a boyfriend, where you might not even really want a boyfriend, where you're just enjoying your life and you're content with yourself. And I'm not talking about the fake shit that I see a lot of girls do, where they still do things for attention. So deep down they are trying to get male validation, but they're convincing themselves that they don't want it. If you're the kind of girl that goes out to a bar, for example, on a weekend, and you're twerking and you're trying to like flirt with guys to get free drinks, you're still seeking male validation and attention. So you're not independent. Does that make sense? You still want the validation and you still want the attention and you still are getting it from men. I'm talking about, if you're a girl, you should be at the point where you don't go to a bar. And if you do drink, it's with friends at home, by yourself, with no other men. To me, that is the best case scenario, because it really forces you, and this is, again, I'm talking to women in this situation, forces you as a woman to kind of deal with yourself. And I know someone's gonna sit there and say, oh, why are you giving female advice? This is my 2 cents based on what I've seen, what I think works, and other girls I've seen try these things, and it's a counter to all the stuff that I've seen not work. Go out, do your own thing, be your own individual person. Don't shit on men. Don't try to consider all men bad because you've had bad relationships, but also just try to live with yourself and try to be comfortable with yourself and have a good relationship with yourself. Again, take care of your fitness. A lot of girls I see don't do enough of that. If you're struggling with men and you can't find a high quality guy, part of it is because high quality men look for certain high quality things in their women. And one of the biggest high quality traits is a girl that's in shape, or at least a girl that's in pursuit of getting in shape. So go to the gym, do some internal work, try to not use drugs. I've met so many girls that rely on drugs to feel happy. If you're a girl relying on drugs to be happy, you will not be happy because you're relying on drugs. It's just the way it works. You need to rely on your own self to be happy. No alcohol, no weed, no random medications, no prescriptions, no antidepressants, none of that. You shouldn't require anything to be happy. You should know what makes you happy by yourself. Maybe music, that's fine. Music, have fun with family, that's different. That's not a drug. Know what makes you happy, focus on that, do more of that thing. Reject the drugs, reject the bullshit. And learn how to be happy without the presence of men. Again, I need to reiterate this point because I see this a lot, especially when I see like some of these red pill channels. I'll see like a show where like girls are on it and they talk about how they don't need men and how independent they are. And if your girl wants to be independent, if a girl wants to be independent, I'm totally okay with that. She's allowed to do that. It's certainly her prerogative. I don't really have a problem with her saying that. My issue with the whole idea of being independent is when a girl says she's independent, but then her actions aren't conducive to what she's saying. She says she's independent, but she goes to the bar every single weekend, and all she does is spend time in the middle of the dance floor twerking to get the attention of the men. You're not independent. You're still relying on male validation. They're not with you. In my personal opinion, women don't care about sex the way men care about sex. So that's a whole different video in itself. But you're still doing the exact same thing as a guy who's a girl going out to the bar and seeking male attention is the same as a man going to get laid that night. It's the exact same thing in my opinion. Men and women need validation and attention in different ways because we have different strategies for procreation, and it's a whole different video. I don't want to get too deep into it because I know I've been on different tangents throughout the video. So those are sort of my suggestions though on how men and women should kind of view relationships. Again, your partner should be a complement to your life. You should be looking for a partner that is already full with their cup. You shouldn't be looking for a partner with their cup half empty, hoping that you fill it up. And you shouldn't be the kind of person with your cup half empty, hoping that he or she, your partner, potential partner at least, fills it up. Both of you should come with your cups full, and both of your lives should be enhanced and enriched by you two coming together. It's almost like a multiplying effect. It's 1 + 1 in this situation equals 4 or 5 or 10 or 100. You want exponential gains with your relationship. You don't want to come together and be half of what you were, of what you was individually, or half of, or like some mediocre result of the two of you coming together. Makes sense. So here, it is storming around me, and I'm gonna go home because this is a sign that my advice is just too good. How it's too good because of the rain, I don't know, but we're gonna say that it's too good because of the rain.